Welcome, dear listener, to another deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a really crucial and I think for many of us, a deeply personal journey into women's health.
Hmm.
We've gathered some, well, truly eye-opening material that really cuts through the noise, gets past the superficial stuff.
Yeah, and gets right to the heart of why so many women often feel, well, unheard, underserved even, when it comes to our own bodies.
Exactly.
It's more than just understanding what happens in women's bodies, right?
Yeah.
It's about unraveling why we've historically lacked comprehensive knowledge and, frankly, robust support.
Yeah. What are the systemic gaps that still exist?
And most importantly, what powerful steps can we all take? Not just for our own well-being, which is critical, but really for the future of women's health everywhere.
Totally. So we're going to navigate this fascinating landscape today. We'll move from these really personal health crises that become massive wake-up calls.
Yeah, those moments that just change everything.
Right, through the, often shocking history of how medicine has viewed women.
Mm-hmm. Some of that is just wild.
And then into the really innovative women-led solutions being built right now. Our mission today is really to equip you with insights. Insights that will truly empower you, hopefully, to look at your health and the health of the women around you in a completely new light.
Think of it like taking back control,
Mm-hmm.
but armed with knowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Taking back control. I like that. Okay, so let's dive right into this with a story that I think really grounds everything we're going to talk about. Picture this.
Yeah.
You're in your 20s, absolutely soaring in your career.
Mm-hmm.
You've just landed on the Forbes 30 under 30 list. You're working super intensely, pushing yourself with these high-intensity workouts.
Living life at full throttle, basically.
Totally outwardly, or, successful, on top of the world. But then your body, quite suddenly and, well, dramatically, just gives out. You find yourself battling something incredibly rare for your age, shingles.
Yeah, and what's truly striking about this person's experience, this individual story, is that it wasn't just a physical ailment, right? It became this profound, almost brutal realization that relentless stress isn't just a feeling.
Right.
It can actually manifest as severe autoimmune disease. It's such a powerful testament to the idea that our health isn't just an asset.
It's the asset.
It's the most valuable one we possess, absolutely. So this young woman, despite all her outward achievements, she started experiencing this confusing mix of unsettling symptoms,
Yeah.
feeling increasingly disconnected from her body, that unsettling sense that something was just fundamentally deeply wrong.
And then came the shingles. For anyone not familiar, shingles is this viral infection, causes a really painful rash, usually affects older adults or people with compromised immune systems.
Right, not typically someone young and healthy.
Exactly. So for someone in their 20s, it's highly unusual. And she described it as the searing pain wrapping around her torso. It was terrifying and just utterly bewildering.
And I bet she was bouncing from doctor to doctor.
Oh, totally. Naturopaths, endocrinologists,
Yeah.
just desperate for answers to what felt like this unsolvable medical mystery.
And that search, it wasn't just frustrating. I imagine it was agonizing. Because it took almost a year,
Well,
right?
almost a full year to finally get an official diagnosis,
Yeah.
an autoimmune disease. And the doctors eventually concluded it was essentially self-induced by chronic unmanaged stress.
Wow. Can you even imagine hearing that? After months of pain, confusion, fear, to be told that your own relentless drive, your lifestyle, had effectively turned your body against itself.
It's a devastating blow to process. But it also sounds like, in a weird way, a moment of absolute undeniable clarity.
Precisely. That was the moment, the
Yeah.
profound realization, no job is ever worth your health, ever, period.
Mm-hmm.
And this wasn't just a personal health crisis for her. It ignited this whole cascade of critical questions that I think so many women grapple with.
Like what?
Well, why did it take so long to get a diagnosis? Why did the doctors seem so puzzled by what was happening in her body? Why do most autoimmune diseases disproportionately impact women?
That's a huge one.
It is. And perhaps most frustratingly, why do we still lack such a clear understanding of their causes or really effective long-term treatments? These aren't just her questions. They really echo these systemic gaps we keep talking about.
And the emotional weight of it all. The feeling of guilt when a doctor actually looked at her and said, "You probably did this to yourself."
Oh, that's rough.
Right, highlighting the direct consequences of poor sleep, not great nutrition, constantly maxed out adrenal glands, just pumping cortisol through her system.
It's such a powerful, almost visceral lesson, isn't it? About the interconnectedness of mind and body and the true cost of just relentless living.
Yeah, it really makes you stop and think about where our priorities actually lie, doesn't it? That personal story resonates so deeply because it really highlights a systemic issue that, frankly, far too many women still face today. This feeling of being unheard, of doctors not quite grasping what's happening in your body. It genuinely makes you wonder if this is still happening now, what's the historical backdrop? Is this a recent problem or is there a much deeper, older root here?
That's an excellent point, and it leads us to a really crucial question.
Mm.
How deeply is the medical establishment's often, let's face it, limited understanding of women's bodies rooted in history?
Right.
And when we connect this to the broader historical picture, oh boy, we uncover a long, disturbing, and frankly quite shocking pattern of neglect and misunderstanding.
Yeah.
This isn't a new phenomenon at all. It's practically woven into the fabric of medical history.
I think we need to talk about some of those historical practices because they're truly mind-boggling when you look back.
They absolutely are. I mean, we can trace misconceptions back centuries. Across various cultures, women's bodies were often viewed through these lenses of myth, sometimes even fear.
Like what, for example?
Well, take the Victorian era. Any health issue a woman presented with could be a cough, could be severe pain, was frequently attributed to a wandering womb.
Wait, a wandering womb?
Yeah.
Seriously?
The idea was that the uterus was literally like detaching and moving around the body, causing all sorts of symptoms.
Oh my God.
And sometimes, even more absurdly, it was blamed on sexual immorality or even compulsive masturbation.
Wow. It's hard to imagine that was once a widely accepted medical explanation, and not even that long ago, really.
And it kind of evolved, but maybe not for the better. Less than 100 years ago, this concept sort of morphed into what they called hysteria.
Ah, yes. Hysteria.
Right. Women who complained of, common period cramps, general aches, any physical pain, really,
Yeah.
were routinely labeled hysterical.
And what happened then?
Well, in some truly egregious cases, they were actually sent to mental institutions.
For period cramps.
Think about that for a moment. Having normal, sometimes debilitating physiological experiences could literally lead to you being institutionalized.
That's terrifying. And the word itself, hysteria, I think that carries its own weight, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. The word hysteria actually originates from hytera, which means womb.
No way.
Yeah, this etymological root can be traced all the way back to Hippocrates, reinforcing that deep historical link between women's bodies
Yeah.
and perceived mental or emotional instability.
It's just such a stark demonstration of how misogyny has profoundly shaped what we know, and maybe more critically, what we don't know about women's bodies.
And it often gets tangled up with this kind of puritanical shame that surprisingly still echoes in subtle ways, even in modern healthcare today.
That's a devastating legacy. And this neglect, it didn't just stay in the history books, right? It continued into the modern era, just maybe in a different but equally damaging form.
Oh, absolutely. The exclusion of women from clinical research.
Right.
A truly astonishing oversight, and one with massive repercussions we're still grappling with today. For decades, particularly starting around the late 1970s, women of childbearing potential, which, let's be honest, meant most adult women.
Yeah, pretty much all of us at some point.
Exactly. Were deliberately left out of the vast majority of clinical trials.
And what was the reasoning behind that?
Well, the stated rationale often centered on concerns about how experimental drugs might affect a future pregnancy, or sometimes the perceived variability introduced by our hormonal cycles.
So too complicated, basically.
Kind of, but the practical consequence, a colossal gaping hole in our medical data. We ended up with a knowledge base built largely on male physiology.
So essentially, the medical establishment was saying, let's study men and women can just figure it out later.
Pretty much. For decades, that was the implicit and sometimes even explicit approach. It wasn't until the mid-1990s that the National Institutes of Health, the NIH, finally introduced a policy requiring women's representation in trials.
Mid-90s.
A necessary first step, but progress was slow. Then, in a really landmark move in 2014, think about that, just 10 years ago.
2014, that's incredibly recent.
Isn't it? Another critical policy, sex as a biological variable, was introduced. This policy finally officially recognized that women are not, in fact, small men, right? Our bodies function fundamentally differently. We metabolize drugs differently. We even experience diseases differently. This finally became a requirement for studies getting NIH funding.
But it makes you wonder how many assumptions we're still operating under, even now, that are rooted in research done almost exclusively on men.
And unfortunately, despite these policies, the current reality remains quite stark. Women are still grossly underrepresented in clinical trials, both as participants and, importantly, among those leading the research.
So the gap persists.
It absolutely persists.
Yeah.
And this means we still have vast areas of the unknown about women's bodies, how diseases uniquely manifest in us, and what the safest, most effective treatments truly are for us.
And this is where it gets really interesting, isn't it? Because this historical neglect, this profound feeling of being unheard, misunderstood by the traditional medical system,
Uh-huh.
has this huge ripple effect.
Mm.
It often pushes women towards, well, unregulated spaces, almost forcing them to seek answers and relief wherever they can possibly find it.
You've hit on such a critical point there. This historical and ongoing neglect from the established medical field leaves women feeling incredibly vulnerable, often desperate for solutions.
Yeah.
So when influencers or products on social media promise easy miracles or offer a quick fix, it becomes incredibly alluring. It's almost like, for the first time, someone's actually listening, you know?
Yeah. Somebody gets it.
Exactly. Somebody's listening to their pain and frustration. There's a powerful emotional resonance there, a deep desire for validation that traditional medicine has often just failed to provide.
It's that path of least resistance too, right? We're all human. When we're in pain or feeling overwhelmed, we naturally look for the easy answers.
Absolutely. We are by nature kind of programmed to seek the path of least resistance. When a solution promises immediate results without years of diet and exercise, without that arduous journey of finding a doctor who will truly listen and genuinely investigate,
This sounds pretty good.
it's inherently appealing. You think, oh, I don't have to spend years changing my lifestyle. There's this quick fix solution. The challenge is many natural forms of care often lack the extensive, rigorous body of research that pharmaceutical solutions undergo.
Right. The evidence isn't always there.
Exactly. And this creates a regulatory gap that, unfortunately, gurus and, well, snake oil salesmen are all too eager to exploit. It's not to say natural approaches have no merit at all, but the lack of oversight makes it a real minefield for vulnerable individuals seeking genuine help.
Okay, so given all these systemic gaps and this really troubling history of neglect, what happens when someone who has personally experienced this pain decides, okay, I'm not just going to heal myself, I'm going to actively do something about this for others?
Yeah.
Let's dig into an incredible journey of turning that personal crisis into a really powerful collective mission.
This is where the narrative truly shifts, I think. Moving from recognizing these profound problems to actively building comprehensive solutions.
Driven by real conviction.
Absolutely. Driven by deep personal conviction and this unwavering commitment to advocacy. Transforming a raw, individual experience into something that can potentially benefit countless other women.
It sounds like a true entrepreneurial genesis, like it was born directly from that moment of profound crisis we talked about earlier.
It truly was. Following her shingles diagnosis, the individual felt this pervasive lethargy, right? An undeniable sense that something was deeply wrong, even though it took over 9 months to finally get that autoimmune diagnosis.
9 months.
Yeah. And that doctor's directive at that point was incredibly clear, and it demanded 3 critical changes in her life.
Okay, what were they?
First, drastically reduce stress. Easier said than done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Second, begin synthetic thyroid medication. And third, completely eliminate gluten from her diet due to its specific impact on her autoimmune condition.
Wow, that's a complete overhaul of your life, isn't it? Not just a minor adjustment, but a fundamental shift in how you approach your entire existence.
It was, without question, the true wake-up call. This diagnosis prompted a complete transformation. She fundamentally changed her relationship with work, eventually changing jobs entirely to align with her new priorities.
Mm-hmm.
Prioritizing self-care moved from being like an afterthought to a non-negotiable part of her daily life.
Mm-hmm.
And she also had to confront significant fertility challenges.
Right, you mentioned that.
Yeah, because her autoimmune disease increased her risk of miscarriage by an additional 15%.
Yeah.
That adds another profound layer of emotional weight to her journey.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's an immense burden to carry, especially when you're trying to build a family. So what did that personal growth actually look like in practice? How did she implement these deep changes?
Well, it involved embracing new practices and philosophies. She started meditating. She drastically adjusted those intense workout routines, swapping the demanding 5:30 a.m. SoulCycle sessions for gentler, more supportive forms of movement. She delved into the study of Stoicism, finding it offered this powerful grounding philosophy for navigating her day-to-day life. And she also worked intensively with a coach, specifically to establish clear, robust boundaries between her demanding career and her personal life.
That boundary piece is so key.
Absolutely. Ensuring she could protect her hard-won health and her family ambitions.
It's really remarkable to see how a personal health crisis can pivot someone towards such deep self-reflection and ultimately systemic problem-solving. But this wasn't just about her individual journey, was it? It became about identifying and tackling the broader gaps in women's healthcare.
Exactly. The idea for a larger solution really began to crystallize. At the time, she was running a major media company, president and executive editor-in-chief of Who, What, Where, Birdie, those kinds of properties.
Wow, big job.
Huge job. Passionate, demanding work. But the desire to be equally passionate and present in her personal life and for her family became paramount. The real catalyst, though, was her own fertility journey and then her subsequent pregnancy. Despite having access to a multidisciplinary team, a naturopath, her OB, an acupuncturist, she quickly recognized this profound lack of coordination among them.
Ah, so everyone was doing their own thing.
Exactly. Each offered valuable advice, sure, but there was no single unified care plan. No one was putting all the pieces together for her.
It sounds like everyone was giving her pieces of a complex puzzle, but no one was seeing the whole picture or helping her assemble it.
Precisely. She actually envisioned this care team on a Zoom call, like a concept where all the medical advice aligned, ensuring everything worked in harmony without conflicting guidance.
Which sounds amazing, but
But totally inaccessible to the average person, right? Without an extensive personal network and significant resources to manage it all. This frustration really deepened when she met her future co-founder. Apparently, they met on a blind date.
a blind date, really?
Yeah, an A1 blind date, she joked,
Yeah.
like a classic LA stereotype, both nursing their first and second children, respectively.
And her co-founder had her own powerful, equally compelling story that resonated with this mission too, right?
Yes, absolutely. Her co-founder's daughter was born with a nutrition-related cleft lip. And as she delved into that experience, it completely opened her eyes to the profound underregulation of the prenatal vitamin category
No.
and the direct, often devastating impact of nutrient deficiencies on birth outcomes. So this combined experience, the lack of coordinated care, the understanding of critical nutrient deficiencies, and this fundamental realization that women's bodies' needs change dramatically through different life stages, that became the foundational bedrock of their shared mission.
So this village approach started taking shape, this idea of creating what they eventually called parallel health.
Indeed. The core question they kept asking themselves was, if our bodies and our babies change so much through different trimesters and life stages, why don't our nutrient needs adapt accordingly?
Yeah, it seems so obvious when you put it like that.
Right. Why isn't there a routine that truly puts it all together? From optimizing fertility, thinking about essentials like CoQ10 for egg quality, DHA for the baby's brain development, and a comprehensive core prenatal to the changing needs in the first trimester. Maybe needing more B6 and ginger for nausea? Then to the second trimester, where magnesium might be crucial for cramps or constipation because both mom and baby have increased needs for magnesium and calcium, and then adapting again for later stages of pregnancy and beyond.
It makes so much intuitive sense, yet it's clearly not how the supplement industry typically operates. So how did they move from this powerful vision to actually building something so comprehensive?
Well, they decided to go straight to the top experts. They presented this entire vision to one of the leading OB/GYNs in the country, who apparently responded with this unequivocal, "That's an amazing idea, you must do it."
Wow, that must have been huge validation.
Absolutely pivotal. So, overwhelmed but completely committed, they then assembled an entire medical advisory panel of top specialists. And this wasn't just a handful of doctors. It was a comprehensive village of experts.
Just goes involved.
Multiple OB/GYNs, including their co-founder, Dr. Biati, who was a holistic-leaning OB/GYN with a really acute nutritional understanding, reproductive endocrinologists, maternal fetal medicine doctors, reproductive psychiatrists.
Oh, interesting. Psychiatrists, too.
Yeah, whose insights directly shaped their postpartum products to address mental well-being, which is so often overlooked. Plus, nutritionists, naturopaths, and even a doula.
That's an incredibly diverse and impressive lineup. It sounds like a truly collaborative, multifaceted effort to build something genuinely groundbreaking.
It was, and it really took shape during the height of COVID, interestingly enough. This village convened virtually, on endless Zoom calls to essentially pressure test every single nutrient. They combined the very latest medical research with direct, invaluable clinical insights gleaned from actual patient experiences, For example, unlike many other brands, they consciously decided against including biotin in their prenatal vitamins.
Oh, why is that? I thought biotin was good for hair and nails.
It can be, but clinical observations show that high doses of biotin could actually interfere with thyroid lab results.
Really?
Yeah, potentially leading to a misdiagnosis of a thyroid disorder during pregnancy, which is obviously something you want to avoid. So this blending of rigorous research with real-world patient insights was, in many ways, revolutionary for the supplement space.
And the ultimate outcome of this incredibly detailed and thoughtful process.
The outcome is that Parallel became the first and only OBGYN-founded women's vitamin brand, offering targeted, science-backed nutrition for each unique stage of a woman's hormonal journey, starting right from menarche, the very beginning of menstruation, all the way through perimenopause and beyond. They quickly realized that the motherhood category, as the market often defines it, is far, far more expansive than just the 9 months of pregnancy. It really encompasses a woman's entire fertile and post-fertile lifespan.
This sounds incredibly thoughtful and comprehensive, but I can't imagine taking such a principled, science-first stance in the health and wellness industry is easy. I mean, it's a field, as we've discussed, that's unfortunately often plagued by a lot of snake oil salesmen.
It certainly is challenging. A significant hurdle right off the bat was convincing investors that women genuinely deserve comprehensive doctor-made products.
Really?
Yeah, and that the motherhood category truly extends far beyond just those 9 months of pregnancy. There was this prevailing skepticism, a real lack of investment in the idea that women's dynamic health needs throughout their entire lifespan required this level of nuanced, expert-backed support.
So investors were basically questioning why anyone would need more than a generic prenatal without fully grasping the depth of the issue or the biological realities. It's kind of ironic, given the history we just talked about.
Totally ironic. And then there's that snake oil problem we touched upon. The health and wellness category is indeed plagued by individuals selling false claims and quick fixes, promising that if you just pop this pill, everything will be better. The founders of Parallel knew this just wasn't their path. They really emphasized that even with the most amazing supplements, the core of health lies in those foundational practices. Consistent good sleep, adequate hydration, regular movement.
Right, the basics.
The basics. Supplements are designed to be an added strategic layer, not some magic bullet.
And their commitment to integrity really shines through in their product development, especially around nutrient bioavailability and that rigorous testing you mentioned.
It absolutely does. They prioritize bioavailability, understanding that a single pill solution often isn't enough. If nutrients aren't absorbed effectively, you're essentially creating expensive urine, right?
Yeah.
That's why they opted for multi-pill sachets, ensuring that nutrients work in synergy with supporting compounds for optimal absorption. But the most shocking discovery, the one that truly made their head spin, was learning about lot skipping in the testing process.
Lot skipping. Okay, that sounds incredibly concerning. What exactly does that mean?
It's a common, yet deeply troubling, practice in the vitamin and supplement category. Companies can claim third-party testing, but what they often do is test one batch of product
Okay.
and then simply assume that subsequent batches, sometimes 2, 3, or even 5 more batches, are clean, without actually performing tests on those later batches. Yet they still market themselves as third-party tested.
That is absolutely astonishing. So you might think you're getting a quality verified product, but you have no real way of knowing if the specific batch you're holding has actually been checked for purity or potency.
Exactly. It completely compromises consumer trust and safety. Parallel's solution to this, despite the higher costs and even initial manufacturer reluctance, is rigorous triple testing. They test every single batch of their products.
Every single one.
Every single one. This unwavering commitment to their customers' health over their bottom line meant making their products slightly more expensive and navigating a system that really wasn't designed for this level of integrity.
And beyond the testing, what about the actual claims they make about their products? How do they handle that?
Every single claim they file with the FDA is meticulously substantiated by a robust body of research and double-blind studies.
Okay, that's key.
It's a direct contrast to common industry practices where claims can often be vague, exaggerated, or simply not backed by solid evidence. Their mission at its core is truly driven by this desire to create a healthier, more supported world for women, operating with the same integrity in their business practices as they strive for in their personal lives. It's really about building a better product and a better future for women, not just chasing profits.
This whole approach, it really feels like so much more than just selling a product, doesn't it? It feels like a movement. It's about fundamentally trying to change the landscape of women's health for the better. Let's explore how this powerful mission extends into broader advocacy.
Yeah, what's truly fascinating here is that deep understanding that products alone, no matter how well researched or ethically produced, they just aren't enough to create lasting change.
Right, you need more.
You do. True impact requires addressing those systemic issues we've been talking about and making significant investments in a healthier future for all women.
Oh.
And this company, from its very inception, embedded a two-pronged give-back initiative directly into its core operations.
So it's about making a tangible difference, not just with their products, but directly in the community, right from the very start.
Absolutely. The first prong tackles a deeply concerning statistic.
Mm.
Here in the U.S., 1 in 33 babies are born with birth defects.
Wow, 1 in 33.
Yeah, and many of these are directly nutrition-related. And this is largely due to a lack of access to high-quality care and essential nutrition, particularly among underserved women.
Okay, so what do they do about that?
So for every prenatal subscription they sell, they donate a supply to these women in the U.S. who lack adequate access.
Mhm.
And this program has already supported over 100,000 pregnancies.
100,000. That is an incredible number. Truly impactful.
It's incredibly moving, isn't it? It demonstrates that immediate and direct impact where it's most desperately needed.
Wow. And the second prong of their initiative focuses on that crucial systemic issue we discussed earlier, closing those pervasive research gaps in women's health.
Indeed. Because while they drew upon a wealth of existing knowledge to formulate their products, they were acutely aware of the vast gaps in what we don't know about women's bodies.
Right.
So they committed to deploying a percentage of their sales as direct grants to organizations supporting cutting-edge women's health research. Currently, these grants support the McGee Women's Research Institute out of Pittsburgh, who are doing just incredible work.
And what kind of research are they supporting?
Their research spans the entire female lifespan, from menarche right through menopause, covering critical and often severely under-researched topics like PMDD, PCOS, specific challenges during pregnancy.
Basically, all the things women are desperately searching for online.
Exactly. The very issues women are Googling and TikToking because they're searching for answers that often don't yet exist in conventional medicine.
And this is where the impact of this pervasive women's health research gap becomes truly staggering. It's something most people, I think, have absolutely no idea about.
You're so right. Most people just don't realize the depth of the issue.
Yeah.
A vast majority of the medical knowledge we rely on today is based on research done almost exclusively on white men. Still, and the result of this historical bias and ongoing underrepresentation is profound and far-reaching. Women are diagnosed later for over 700 diseases.
700 diseases.
Yes. Think about the years of suffering, the incorrect treatments, the emotional toll that late or misdiagnosis takes on countless lives.
And some of those statistics you mentioned before are not just eye-opening, they're genuinely life-threatening.
Absolutely. Take heart disease, for example. It is the #1 killer for women. #1, surpassing every type of cancer combined.
Wow.
Yet, because the symptoms can present so differently in women compared to men, it's tragically often missed or misdiagnosed until it's too late.
And this pervasive gap means what for our overall health span?
It means women, on average, live 25% more of their lives in poor health.
25%.
Yeah, which equates to a staggering 75 million years of life lost annually across the globe. This isn't just a humanitarian issue, it's a massive quality of life crisis affecting millions and millions of women.
And beyond this profound human cost, there's also a compelling economic imperative to finally address this, isn't there? It's not just about well-being.
There absolutely is. This isn't just about doing the right thing, although it is. It's about smart investment for society as a whole. Research actually shows that every single dollar invested in women's health research yields a remarkable $3 return in the global economy.
$3 back for every dollar in. How does that work?
Because when women are healthier, we can stay in the workforce longer, we can be more productive, we contribute more fully to society in every way. It's an economic win-win that we as a society have largely overlooked for far too long.
So for those of us listening, this problem feels enormous, like almost insurmountable. What's the call to action here? How do we even begin to address something so massive and deeply entrenched?
Yeah, it can feel overwhelming, but the call to action is clear, and crucially, it's achievable. Educating the public and, most importantly, educating lawmakers is critical.
Hmm.
We need to collectively secure the estimated $1 billion needed to close this research gap. And the amazing thing is, we can absolutely achieve this within our lifetime.
$1 billion sounds like a lot, but maybe not in the grand scheme of national budgets.
Exactly. In the grand scheme, it's entirely feasible. By raising awareness, supporting organizations doing this vital work, advocating for policy changes, we can make a tangible difference. It's really about demanding that our bodies, our health, and our unique physiological needs are finally given the comprehensive attention and rigorous research they absolutely deserve.
Okay, this information is so incredibly empowering, but I can also imagine it feeling a little bit overwhelming for some listeners. So for you, the listener, how do we take all this in and actually apply it to our own lives? What can we do right now, practically, to advocate for ourselves better in the medical field? And what steps can we take for our holistic well-being?
That's the crucial question, isn't it? How do we translate this systemic understanding into individual empowerment? And it truly comes down to active self-advocacy and a proactive, holistic approach to our well-being. Knowing the history and the current gaps should really fuel our personal efforts, not just frustrate them.
Okay, so let's start with navigating the healthcare system itself, because that can feel incredibly complex and intimidating, especially when you're already feeling unwell or vulnerable.
It absolutely can. The first, and arguably the most important step, is to become your own fiercest advocate. If something feels off in your body, or if a diagnosis doesn't sit right with you, keep fighting for yourself.
Don't just accept it.
Don't just accept it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to seek second or even third opinions. Explore alternative paths for care. There are so many incredible startups and new avenues emerging now that offer more accessible, often more integrated options than traditional systems might.
And it's so crucial to ask questions, right? To push past that feeling that so many women experience of being dismissed or rushed.
Exactly. For conditions like PCOS, for instance, which we know is severely undiagnosed and affects countless women, keep pushing for accurate diagnoses. See different practitioners until you find someone who truly listens, investigates thoroughly, and respects your lived experience.
Hmm.
And on a broader level, we need to vocally support advancements in women's health research, especially for those under-researched life stages like midlife and later life. These are areas where, our mothers, our aunts are still struggling to find good answers.
You mentioned these different life stages, and I think a lot of women don't even really know what to expect from their own bodies as they age beyond the most basic changes. Understanding our hormonal stages seems incredibly important for self-advocacy.
It truly is. Knowing what to expect and what is normal, or at least common, can be immensely empowering and less scary. For those who menstruate, understanding cycle syncing can be a total game changer.
Tell us more about that.
Well, our bodies have these distinct hormonal phases: follicular, ovulatory, luteal, menstrual act, and our nutrient needs, our energy levels, even our moods fluctuate throughout. So products or even just lifestyle adjustments can be tailored to support these different stages, helping to ease symptoms like PMS or PMDD.
Mm.
For instance, magnesium can be incredibly helpful during the luteal phase to manage mood and cramps.
That makes sense. And then, of course, there's the monumental journey of fertility, pregnancy, and postpartum.
Oh, absolutely. These are times of immense hormonal fluctuation and profound physical and psychological shifts. They require very specific support. There's actually a powerful concept called matrescence.
Matrescence.
Yeah, the idea that pregnancy physically and psychologically resets your entire hormone system. It's a massive shift, truly comparable in magnitude to adolescence, yet we rarely acknowledge it with the same weight or preparation it deserves.
That's such a profound way to think about it, like a second adolescence almost. And what about as we move into midlife? What should women be aware of then?
Well, perimenopause, for example. It often begins in a woman's late 30s or early 40s, much earlier than many people think.
Late 30s, wow.
Yeah. These are significant hormonal shifts that can lead to a whole variety of symptoms: mood changes, sleep disturbances, hot flashes, changes in cycle length. A great practical tip here is actually to discuss your mother's experience with her if you can, as your perimenopausal journey will often be quite similar to hers.
That's a good tip.
And it's crucial to understand that menopause itself is technically just one day of your life. It's the first day you've gone 12 consecutive months without a period. The entire period after that day is called postmenopause, which then has its own unique needs and requires specific support. Many women don't even know these basic distinctions, which can make navigating these changes feel even more isolating and confusing.
Okay, so Beyond understanding our bodies and advocating within the medical system, what about holistic well-being? We know supplements can definitely help, but they're clearly not the entire solution, right?
Oh, exactly. Supplements are an added strategic layer, but they are absolutely not the foundation. The foundational pillars of holistic well-being are consistently good sleep, adequate water intake, and regular movement. These are the non-negotiables.
Get those right first.
Get those right first. Once those fundamental pillars are solidly in place, then we can look at strategic supplementation to support our specific needs or fill gaps.
And what would be some key strategic supplements beyond maybe a good daily multivitamin that women should consider, especially as our bodies evolve through these stages?
Yeah, there are a few that really stand out based on common needs and research. Take a high-quality triple support protein, for instance. Ideally, it should combine around 20 grams of protein with about 6 grams of fiber.
Fiber is huge.
Fiber is so important. Most women only get about 16 grams of the recommended 25 grams daily, and it's crucial for heart health, digestive health, blood sugar balance. The list goes on. And then the third component in that triple support is creatine.
Okay, creatine again, you mentioned before. Most people immediately associate that with, gym bros trying to bulk up. It seems like it's really overlooked for women.
It is so overlooked for women, but that's such a misconception. Creatine has incredible, often hidden power for women. It's actually one of the most researched supplements globally. What many don't realize is that women's natural creatine stores reduce significantly after the age of 30.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it's vital not only for maintaining muscle mass, which is critical to combat sarcopenia, that age-related loss of muscle later in life, but it also offers incredible cognitive benefits.
Cognitive benefits, like what?
Well, one fascinating study even showed that a single high dose of creatine could improve processing speed and memory in sleep-deprived individuals within just 3 hours.
Wow. Oh, okay, sold on creatine. What other nutrients are often overlooked or particularly important for women?
Iron is another critical one. It
Wow.
often gets a bad rap because people equate it with constipation, right?
Yeah.
But high-quality, tummy-friendly blends, often combined with vitamin C for better absorption, definitely exist. And we know that a staggering 80% of women can become anemic by their third trimester of pregnancy, making targeted iron supplementation essential for many throughout their lives, not just during pregnancy.
80%, that's huge.
It's huge. And then there's magnesium. So many women are deficient in magnesium, and it impacts practically everything: mood regulation, sleep quality, stress levels, muscle function. Proprietary tri-blends of magnesium, specifically formulated for sleep support, can be highly effective. And you can often actually see the proof in the data from wearables, like an Oura Ring, showing improved deep sleep and REM sleep.
That makes perfect sense. Magnesium seems to come up in almost every conversation about well-being these days. And speaking of movement, you mentioned earlier how the founder's workout routine shifted after her diagnosis. How should women think about adapting their exercise routines as their bodies change throughout life?
Yeah, that's so important because our bodies are dynamic, just as our hormones are constantly changing and shape-shifting throughout our lives. What worked before, like maybe those super high-intensity classes in your 20s,
Yeah.
might not be ideal after an autoimmune diagnosis or during and after pregnancy, or even as you approach perimenopause.
So the focus might need a shift.
The focus often needs to shift. For example, while yoga and Pilates are wonderful for flexibility and core strength, prioritizing strength training and lifting weights to build and maintain muscle mass becomes increasingly crucial as we age,
Why is that so important?
because it's absolutely key for preventing sarcopenia later in life, which is a major threat to women's health, mobility, and independence. Building muscle helps maintain metabolism, bone density, and overall functional strength. And, tools like ChatGPT can even be surprisingly helpful for generating specific workout ideas if you're stuck, like asking for a shoulder-friendly workout for the gym floor.
That's a fantastic practical tip. And you also mentioned a secret weapon for bone density, which becomes such a huge concern for women as we age.
Yes, the humble weighted vest. Especially starting in your mid-30s, bone density becomes a critical concern for women due to hormonal changes. Wearing a weighted vest while doing everyday household chores or just going for a walk can provide that essential high-impact stimulus that supports bone density without requiring a special trip to the gym or learning complex lifts.
I love that. Simple, effective.
It's a simple, relatively inexpensive tool that can make a big difference, helping to lay a strong, resilient foundation for later in life.
Okay, all of this sounds like a lot of proactive work, taking charge of your health, but it also ties into something much deeper, doesn't it? Learning to be present and set clear boundaries, which the founder you mentioned found so transformative in her own journey.
It's absolutely fundamental. Reclaiming joy and prioritizing genuine relationships is so key.
Hmm.
Deliberately scheduling time with girlfriends and really recognizing that no face mask, no manicure is as good as time with friends, right? That's vital for our emotional well-being.
Hmm.
Prioritizing real, focused one-on-one time with children if you have them, making sure you're truly present. And reclaiming personal hobbies like reading or whatever brings you joy. These are all powerful ways to redefine success, not just by external achievement, but by the quality of your relationships and your profound personal well-being.
And you found specific books particularly transformative in cultivating that presence and perspective.
Absolutely. How to Know a Person by David Brooks is fantastic for improving communication and active listening in all relationships, both professional and personal. Really practical. But the one that completely shifted my worldview years ago was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
It's a heavy hitter for sure, but it teaches the profound importance of living fully in the present moment. The core idea that the recipe for unhappiness is wanting what you don't have, and that fundamentally all you have is now. That truly liberated me from so much constant anxiety about an uncertain future.
That reminds me so much of that concept you mentioned, suffering once.
Yes, that's such a powerful concept derived from Tolle's work. Instead of suffering twice, first by worrying excessively about a future event like a difficult presentation or a challenging conversation, and then suffering again if it actually happens, you make a conscious commitment to only suffer once in the actual moment if it arrives.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Oh, totally. But it's about letting go of that constant rumination and trying to future-proof everything, which is impossible. The guiding philosophy becomes simply, do the next right thing.
I like that.
Instead of being paralyzed by anxiety or overwhelmed by the big picture, you just focus on making the very next right decision in the present moment, trusting that it will naturally domino into subsequent positive actions. Because ultimately, the only true control you have in life is how you choose to react to things. Hashtag tag outro.
Wow, what an absolutely incredible and I think deeply insightful journey we've taken today into the complexities and the real possibilities of women's health. We've traveled from the painful realities of historical neglect and personal health crises all the way to cutting-edge science and this powerful mission-driven approach to wellness that truly redefines what support can look like for women.
It's become abundantly clear, hasn't it, that understanding our bodies, advocating fiercely for ourselves, and actively supporting the vital research that will illuminate our unique physiology is not just beneficial, it's absolutely essential for a thriving future.
Yeah.
Our bodies are complex, they're multifaceted, they're dynamic, and they deserve comprehensive, integrated solutions and unwavering attention throughout every single stage of life.
This deep dive has really shown us that while the challenges are significant and they're deeply rooted in history, the tools for self-empowerment and for systemic change are absolutely within our reach. It's about arming ourselves with knowledge, fostering strong communities, supporting each other, and having the courage to demand and to actively build better solutions for ourselves and for the future generations of women coming after us.
So, as you reflect on everything we've discussed today, dear listener, maybe consider this.
Yeah.
What is one small, tangible step you can take this week? Maybe it's to learn more about your body. Maybe it's to advocate for your health differently in your next doctor's appointment. Or perhaps it's to support the vital research that benefits all women in some way.
Yeah.
Your individual journey, your choices, and your voice are a crucial part of this larger, incredibly important mission to create a healthier, more supported world for all women.